TAMUCT, can you see me? It is the lovely Chastity at your location for everything accommodation. Today, we are here on our first official accessibility podcast. We have with us the lovely ladies from the library, and I'm going to allow each of you to introduce yourselves so that our students know exactly who you are. We'll start here.
I am Kelly Williams. I'm the Reference and Instruction Librarian here on campus.
I'm Michelle Shea. I'm the Education and Business Liaison librarian.
And
Hi, I'm Margaret Dawson, and I'm the liaison to English, social sciences, and the hard sciences, biology and chemistry.
oh,
Along
wow.
with English.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to extend a big thank you to all three of you ladies for being here with us today. For those of you who are new to the Warrior Center for Student Success or to accessibility in general, our goal here is to make sure that we are bringing all things TAMUCT to you, to make sure that you know how to access your academics online, how to access your library if you're here on campus, and how to access the resources that they have online and in person, and like I said, if you're here in the facility. So we appreciate you tuning in with us today. We're going to go ahead and jump in with some questions. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And we will actually follow up with answers to any questions that you may have. All right. So I know we're going to do a little bit of a round robin today. So I don't know who's going to answer what, which should make it interesting, right? I think so. So I'm going to ask the questions, and then whoever has the answer can just pop in. So our first question is, what accessible features are available in our library building?
So the building itself is laid out to prioritize adequate space in between the stacks, in between the shelves. So all of those spaces have enough room for a wheelchair, for any kind of other assisted device that you may have. So if you need to access the second floor of the library, we do have an elevator that's on the outside, and you can ring a doorbell and we will open the doors for you. So there's no need to take any stairs.
Oh, wow, very cool. Kind of Batman style. I like that with the doorbell and everything. Okay, our next question. Are there study rooms or specific areas that you guys would like to highlight that aid our mobility for our students with disabilities and also with assistive technology and devices?
So in the library, we have adjustable desks throughout, various ranges of heights. Hit a little button, it can rise up, different things like that. We can help you with like volume using computers. We can help you with speakers. And as Margaret stated, all of our like furniture is set up for people with wheelchairs, assisted mobility devices, anything like that, where they can maneuver as like perfect space.
Right.
So they have the space for what they need. Yeah.
Great. And I know personally that as we're hosting events in the library, or just as we're visiting you guys' different events, that you guys are very specific when it comes to spacing and things like that, just to make sure that everything is in position and accessible to all of our students. So thank you guys for that. All right. So the next question that we have is, can you talk to us a little bit about the assistive technology that we have available here to our students, either on campus or even especially for our distance learners?
I can talk about that a little bit. So we have a lot of digital tools to facilitate students' use. So for example, for our web pages, we have screen reader software that you can utilize. So we make sure all our web pages are very accessible by adding in headings and alt text and things like that.
Okay.
We also encourage people to use some of the built-in tools in the databases. So there is a text-to-speech tool that you can use. So pretty much any article that is HTML text, you can just have it read it to you by itself in the database, and that's really cool. For our ebooks, most of them are going to pull up in a PDF mode, but if you have accessibility needs, you can go to the profile setting and toggle it to have it be text only.
Okay.
So that it can just utilize the screen reader, and it also has like zoom in, zoom out tools, stuff like that. So there's a lot of built-in functionality to our digital tools. If you're a distance learner, you can use those at home. If you're here on campus and you don't know how to use them, we would be happy to show you.
Okay.
And for distance learners, we could even schedule meetings with you and kind of just walk through and in like a Teams chat or something. Like, here's how you could do this.
Okay, very cool. So since you answered my next 3 questions.
Sorry. sorry.
It's okay. It's totally fine. I would like to, can you paint the picture a little bit more vividly for our students? So if I'm a distance learner, right, because I believe that about 60 to 70% of our students are distance learners. And I am trying to access some of the accessibility features and I don't know exactly how to get to it and where to find it. We know some of our students love to read and some of them not so much. So what would that accessing you guys or how to, get someone or set up one of those meetings, what would that look like?
Yes. So to meet with the librarian on our library homepage, which you can get to through the Warrior Web, we do have a schedule a help session button.
Okay.
So you can click on that. You'll see all our librarians' names. So if you have someone particular you like to work with, you can choose them. If you don't have a preference, there's a no preference button.
Okay.
And then once you click on your person, you will see a calendar. And it will also have the option for the times and the days, and you just sort of schedule that way. If it is a virtual meeting, we will send you a link, and then at that time we can talk with you about your assignment or the particular tool that you're trying to utilize from our library resources.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's about as accessible as it gets. A lot of personalized, hands-on
Yes.
guidance. I love that. I love that. Can you talk to us a little bit about the accessibility formats for some of the books that we have?
Oh, I can answer that. So we have ebooks, of course. We have audiobooks.
Okay.
Again, Michelle mentioned the databases. Certain things will pop up as PDFs. The students can toggle through using the hotkeys to get to what they need. In a lot of the databases, no, let me correct that. And it should be all of the databases by now. The database will actually read the text to the student. Now, the forces still
wow.
kind of sound a little mechanical. We can't control that, but we have various things they can use.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Let's talk about our digital. We're going to talk a little bit more about our digital resources. Like I keep reiterating, because I've been hearing it for the past 3-4 semesters, we have to find ways to make sure that we're supporting and connecting with our online learners. And so can we talk a little bit more about the digital resources and the databases, journal accessibility for our online students, but also our students that are here on campus that are needing to use those resources.
So I can talk a bit about the accessibility efforts, like sort of what we do as a staff to make things accessible. So when we create new pages, like for our LibGuides, which are our research guides, we will go through and we'll check the headings, we'll add the alt text to pictures. If we have videos that we create, we add captioning. We try to make sure there's transcripts, for like our tutorial stuff.
Okay.
We also check for color contrast because we know visually, like
Right.
if it doesn't have good contrast, it may be hard to read.
Right.
So those are things we kind of target. There are particular websites like WebAIM that you can run the websites through, and it will give you a layer of like, we checked for these things, here's errors you might have,
Really?
which is really helpful.
Yeah.
Because it allows us to spot check web pages. All of our new stuff, we try to make sure it's accessible from the get-go. Some of the older stuff will run through that and be like, oh, standards were updated, we need to change this and fix it and make it better.
Right.
So we definitely do that. And then we also, we check for broken links to make sure websites go where we're expecting them to go. We also really value user feedback. So if people notice things on our website that is not accessible, please tell us. We want to
Yes.
fix it.
Yes.
Sometimes we try to be as proactive as we can, but sometimes it can be reactive in the sense of we have to know something's a problem before we
Right.
can fix it.
Absolutely.
And then I guess the last thing I'd say is we, for students who do have accommodations or for e-reserves in particular, we can do like optical character recognition software for some of the articles that are PDFs
Oh,
so that they
wow.
are able to be read with the text.
The digital software.
Yes. So, and that's usually by special request, but like Kelly was saying, the database vendors are supposed to make things accessible. So we do that more if we found a place where they weren't and we want to support the students.
Okay. All right. Very, very, very cool. Okay, so you guys, you heard it here first. If you see something, say something.
Yes. Yes,
we want to meet your needs, but and like she said, we try to be as proactive proactive as we can. Even as the access and accommodations coordinator, we try to be proactive. However, we can't always see things through your lenses. So if you see something, say something so that we can make the adjustment and whatever modifications that you need, because we really, really, really want you to be successful here. All right, our next question. Let's talk about library staff training. Are our library staff, are you guys trained to assist students with disabilities?
Well, we do have special software on the computers that librarians are trained to work with, and it's NVDA is what it's called.
Okay.
And as both Kelly and Michelle have mentioned, that we do make sure that all the characters in those articles are readable, and we have a software that does that. So there's multiple librarians that can help with both the screen reader software and that do the character recognition to make them accessible. And of course, anybody who's sitting at the desk, at the reference desk, can help you request a book, can help you find materials. And we also have an online chat feature in
Wow.
the library. So it's called Ask Us. So with that Ask Us feature, then you can get online help. And that's actually available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because when we're not on it, then a librarian from across the country answers.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did not know that. See, I'm learning stuff. All right. Well, thank you for that. Are there any workshops on using assistive technologies, accessing resources, or improving research skills?
Go ahead, because this is mine.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
I know. I really wanted to make sure that I asked this question because as a student myself, I have used these services.
Yes.
So I thought that it was so important to make sure that we get this out to our students.
Yes, this is my passion area. We currently do joint workshops with Chad Pettit in the Learning Writing Center. We do our own tutorials and workshops with students. We can go to your class. Your professor can request us. As we've all stated, we do one-on-one appointments. We can meet with you virtually, in person. We can help you with. I have a long list. I'm not going to go. This is my happy place.
Absolutely. I can see you're just smiling.
Yes, like this is my happy place. Brainstorming research questions, finding scholarly articles, narrowing down your search results, determining if an article is actually scholarly.
Right.
We know
That's a big one.
Yes, because some
That's a
students
big
don't
one.
know the difference.
Yeah.
They think they just go on Google and like pull something down. And we're like, no, that's
Right.
not what the professor's
Right.
looking for.
Right.
And we know some students have been out of school for a long time, or they came from a community college. Sometimes it's I don't want to call it a learning difference, but it's a whole new environment, like it's
Right.
a university.
Yes.
And expectations have changed. So we want to make sure that we're able to fill those gaps in for students. Maybe they didn't have library instruction where they came from before, or maybe
Right.
it's been a long time. So we want to provide that safe space where students can come in person, virtual, chat with us, your professor calls us in, anything like that, where we can help them fill in those learning gaps where they can say, okay, I know how to use this database. I know what a scholarly article is. Okay, I know that I can use this database for this. So we want to just make sure that we have covered all research grounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And to date myself a little bit, when I first started doing research papers, we weren't even allowed to use the internet. We had to use books. There
See?
was no internet resources were considered scholarly at that time. You know, I'm dating myself a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay.
I remember when.
Yes.
All right. So, what steps, or can you guys talk about some of the steps that the library is currently taking to ensure future accessibility in the library? What things that might you have coming down the line, things of that nature?
So I know as far as like database acquisition, we always get requests from faculty, and sometimes students will ask, like, do you have resources on these things? When we talk to database vendors, we from the get-go say you need to be accessible. Like, you need to provide us with an accessibility conformance report.
Okay.
And if you can't do that, then we're not going to use your resources because we need this to be accessible for our students. Like, it is not fair to provide things that they cannot access. So part of that future planning is looking forward to what resources are being released and like making sure that they are accessible from the get-go. I know also whenever we make new products, kind of like new tutorials and new videos, we talked about we are integrating the closed captioning, the transcripts, and all of this like from the start. So from the conceptualization of that thing that we're making for students, we are creating those and adding them into our websites.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I think it's just being mindful of what is going to be beneficial for all students to access, because it helps the people, that need it, but then it really helps everybody that would want it as well.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, well, I appreciate you, ladies. I feel like you guys are doing an amazing job. You guys sounds like you have covered all of the bases. I know there are so many different resources in the library for our students here on campus and our distance learners online. So, you guys, we're here. They're here to answer any questions. They're here with all the resources that you need to be successful in your classes. And so, sounds like they're just one phone call away. I always like to end my podcast with a fun question. So, what is your favorite part about your job?
I'd say my favorite part of my job is helping students. Honestly, like when I go to work and that day I know that I helped 2 or 3 students be successful doing something that they couldn't do before. So I taught them a skill, or they said, I felt so unsure about this and now I feel really confident, or I don't feel scared anymore. Like that makes me really happy. That makes this job worth it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, the connection
Yes.
between the connecting the student with what they need,
Yes.
whether it's library services or services from across the campus, is
Yeah.
a really important part of our job.
I'm going to date myself a little bit.
Okay.
Mine is going to be twofold. I actually was a student worker years ago for our current dean.
Oh, wow.
So I graduated from here. I like to tell people I graduated from here and came back as soon as I could.
Yes.
So that connection I have with the library staff still, not they're not all here, but that connection. I've worked at other libraries, and it feels like, I tell people all the time, it's like a library family. I really
Yes.
enjoy my coworkers.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't have that. I really enjoy my coworkers.
Yes.
And then my second part is, like we all said, I love working with the students. I love when the student is like, you helped me with that assignment. I thought I was going to fail. There's no better feeling of it. And I know that sometimes they come in last minute and I'm like, so when is this due? And they're like, 5.
Yes.
I know. And it's 4:30 and I'm like, Chastity, it's 4:30. I get off at 5 o'clock. And you're like, Kelly, please.
Please.
So knowing that I could help you in that time of like dire
Yes.
straits
Yes.
makes me feel like, okay, this is all worth it.
Yes. Well, that sounds amazing. It sounds like our students have access to some passionate and knowledgeable resources in you all. So I once again want to thank you guys for joining our podcast. Again, I am Chastity Gaddy at your location for everything accessibility. Thank you and have a great day.